Hello and welcome back to Chasing Green Arrows. It's the final week of the Premier League. The champions have been sorted as Manchester City. The relegation battle has been sorted. Three teams going down: West Brom, Fulham, and Sheffield. And now it's just the top four to play for: Liverpool, Chelsea, and Leicester in contention. It's switched now. Before it was Leicester in pole position, and just like last year, they've just dropped out, and they'll be relying on other results. Liverpool and Chelsea, if they win their games, then they will be through to the top four, and they will make a champion. They will book a Champions League spot for themselves next season. Yeah, it's going to be a great week. It's just one match day, and all the games are at one time. It's been an unbelievable season, and to end it with crowds, I think that's a huge plus for the Premier League. Can't wait for next season. Hope you enjoyed the content on Chasing Green Arrows. Make sure you stay tuned for next season, and in between as well, there will be the Euros. We'll keep getting you the latest on that, and we'll keep producing footballing content. So hope you join us for that. But yeah, let's get a cracking game week 38. For our predictions, Zohair is in the lead, and he'll probably win this predictions table. It's been a comfortable season for him, but nonetheless, all three of us, the rest of us, will be still giving our predictions for this week and see how it goes. Starting off with the first game, it's Arsenal versus Brighton. So yeah, Arsenal ending the season well. It's been a very poor season for them. Out of the top 6, 7, 8, they're like in 10th right now, but they have a chance now to qualify for, I think, the Conference League. They can get out of that 10th, 9th spot and come into 8th or 7th. I think the last few games they played well. They beaten Chelsea. They beaten the likes of West Brom. They won last week as well. So I think Arsenal looking good towards the end of the season, but a little too late for them. They should have started better in the season, should have done better in between. I think that in December, January kind of phase where they lost a few games, that run, and then towards the end, a few months after that as well, they went on a poor run as well. They've been in patches, and hopefully they'll come back stronger next season. Brighton, again, they've had a topsy-turvy season, but I think they've done well. Graham Potter has been one of the best managers this season in terms of the resources that he's had, and he's faced the problems head on. The interviews have been really good. His tactics have been good, but yes, they will want to improve next season because they won't be completely happy with where they finished. But it's good that they haven't been relegated for them. So this game, I'm probably going to go Arsenal as favorites. I'm going to go 2-1. I think they have the momentum in the last few games, and the players are striking form. Pepe is looking really good. So yeah, I'm going to go with 2-1 Arsenal win. Moving on to the next game, this is going to be a cracker: Aston Villa versus Chelsea. All eyes will be on this game as well because it will, affect the top four. It's one of those games. Aston Villa, a completely different team with Grealish. They look really good in the last game. He only played an hour, but he's slowly getting into shape now. Will he stay next season? That will be a big question. A lot of teams will be eyeing him. He probably want to play European football. He's done brilliantly for Aston Villa. Apart from when he was injured, he couldn't do much. But apart from that, I think he's slowly getting into the zone now, and I think he'll want to confirm a spot in the Euros. And then if he plays for England, plays well, I think a lot of teams next season will be eyeing to buy him in the transfer market this summer. They're coming up against Chelsea. Chelsea disappointed after that FA Cup loss, but they got some sort of revenge against Leicester. It was a big win in terms of the top four because yes, they didn't get the FA Cup trophy, but that win has really helped their chances of making the top four and making Champions League football next season. And I think Tuchel has done a really good job. If you remember, they were alongside Arsenal. They were 9th or 10th when Tuchel took over, and to now be in third place and potentially finish third, I think is a really good achievement. It's a good season for them. They played a final, they've lost, but now if they win the Champions League, I think it'll be a fantastic season with Champions League and top four. So yeah, I think Tuchel has done well. Chelsea are looking good defensively, solid. Attacking wise, you would want them to score more goals. Ziyech, Pulisic, these guys have contributed, but you need Werner to, he scored so many. I think he scored 12 offside goals this season. So he'll want to be onside and scoring those goals. Once he does that, then I think Chelsea will be even more formidable to beat. I think this is going to be a very close game. I'm honestly going with a 1-1 draw, even though you could say Chelsea are favorites to win this. But just with Grealish back in the mix of things, Aston Villa have caused a lot of big clubs some problems this season. So that's why I'm going to go 1-1. I think they'll nick a point. Fulham versus Newcastle, not much in this. Newcastle have, been resurgent in the last few weeks. I was calling for the Steve Bruce sack a month ago, but he's back and he's doing well. I mean, I think last month they've done well, but it's about improving from this. They had a poor start to the season. They did play very poorly throughout the season, and they'll want this momentum into the next season, and they'll need to continue this. And I think top 10 will be a target for them next season, and for that they'll need consistency. Saint Maximo has been injury prone. When he's been there, he's looked so good. Joel Joington has looked good. Wilson has had his injury problems, so they'll want to come back fitter and stronger next season. Fulham, unfortunately, relegated. Not much to play for, apart from the last game at home in front of their fans in Craven Cottage. They'll want to put up a good show. I'm going. I'll go 2-1 Newcastle for this game. It should be a good game. But yeah, I'm going 2-1 Newcastle. Leeds versus West Brom. For me, Leeds have been the team of the season. The way they've played, a lot of these players I personally didn't know, and Bielsa, we all know, he's had a really good reputation. But to show that, to compete against the likes of United, against Chelsea, against Liverpool, I think the statement, even though they lost Liverpool 4-3 in that first game of the season, that statement there, we're there, we're going to compete. I think that set the tone for them. They've had their downs, they've had their ups, but the positive has been quality football. They played excellent football, very entertaining football, I think, Leeds United, and credit to them. And Bielsa, they're coming up against West Brom. Big Sam tried his best, but it wasn't good enough. West Brom were sinking. I think the highlight for them this season was against Chelsea 5-2 when they beat them. But apart from that, not too much happiness for West Brom, not too much joy. They'll want to finish off on a good note. And I'm backing Leeds in this game. I'm going to go with a 2-0 to Leeds against West Brom. The likes of Rafinha have really impressed me. Bamford, Dallas, these some really good players in Leeds. And if they can keep these guys and maybe even add to that next season, who knows? Leeds can be fighting for a European spot. And yeah, I think a very good season for them. Let's see how they finish. Leicester versus Spurs, a huge game. For both teams. For Leicester, it's because of the Champions League spot. They'll need to win this, and then they have to rely on Chelsea or Liverpool dropping points. So it's a bit difficult now. That loss against Chelsea has cost them. It's been in the last month or so. They've lost a few games here and there. They've drawn games, and that's like last year. It's caused them an issue because their run-in was always going to be difficult. They beat Man United, but then they lost to Chelsea, and now they're playing Spurs. So even the other games, the relative easier games, the drop points and those. Iheanacho has looked good, but Maddison and Vardy, since they've come back from injury, Vardy's played for a while now, and he hasn't looked like the 100% Vardy, scoring those goals, getting to those positions. He's got into positions, but he hasn't been scoring those goals. So for Leicester, they're coming up against a Spurs side who don't have any confidence at all. They lost to Villa last week. They just it's been a very poor season for them. Like Arsenal, the season to forget. They have a lot to do, a lot of work to do in the summer if they want to improve next year. And they're just not looking. Harry Kane, I think it potentially might be his last game in a Spurs shirt. So keep your eyes on that. I think going into this game again, it's going to be very difficult to predict, but I'm going to go 1-0. Oh, no, sorry, 1-1. I'm going to go with a 1-1 draw. The thing with Spurs, they always have attacking till they'll score, but defensively they've been in shambles. Even with Mourinho, apart from the first half of the season, they started brilliantly. They look defensively solid. Suddenly, it's all cracked, and they just don't look a formidable team anymore. So I think still Harry Kane last game, if he knows that this is his last game, I think he'll be up for it, and Spurs might even nick the win. But I'm gonna go with a 1-1 draw between Leicester and Spurs. For Leicester, they'll need Vardy, Maddison, Iheanacho to step up, and defensively they'll have to contain Spurs. That with just the counter, they'll have to look at the counter attack, and apart from that, I think they will fancy their chances, but it's going to be a difficult game. Moving on, Liverpool versus Palace. Liverpool have turned it around, and now they are in the top four, and they can finish in the top four. It hasn't been their best season, but considering that they didn't have Van Dijk, didn't have Gomez for a lot of the season, to finish in the top four will be a massive boost for them. They haven't won a trophy. That will be very disappointing. And Liverpool, after a few really good years, they will be disappointed. The fans won't be used to not winning a trophy. But I think it'll be a successful season, considering the circumstances, if they make the top four. That's just my opinion. I know there is no trophy, but I think, and also I'm the guy who has never predicted a win for Liverpool this season. So, coming from me, I think, that's just my opinion. I think it'll be a pretty good season if they do make the top four, and they can build then, right? Once they make top four, you can still attract players. Even if they sell some of their big players, they can attract other players with Champions League football. So, Liverpool coming up against Palace. Palace have been up and down this season. I think defensively has been an issue for them. Attacking wise, they've looked good. I don't think Eze is playing this game, but he's looked good. Zaha, Benteke has struck golden form, and that's the Benteke we want to see. Getting into the box, scoring those headers, causing defensive problems, making those runs just behind the defender, and finishing has been clinical last few game weeks, and credit to him for that. And it's looking good. I think Liverpool favorites to win this game. They know all they have to do is win. If they win, they do get the top four spot, so they will be up for it. Salah looking good. Jota is there, Mane, finding some sort of form now. So I think, Liverpool are favorites, but I'm not predicted a win for them, and I won't. Again, this game, I'll go 1-1 draw between Palace and Liverpool. Moving on to City versus Everton. City last few games, after they won the league, they've been, they had a 4-3 win against Newcastle, then they lost to Brighton 3-2. So it's been up and down. They were against Brighton. There were 10 men against Brighton, so we'll give them the benefit of the doubt. But I think Guardiola will want to win this game to get momentum going to the Champions League final. Yes, rotation will be there, but I think there's some players he might want to play just to get that game time, because there's still a week to go for the Champions League final. I think a few of their players should play. The likes of Kevin De Bruyne, maybe at least 20-30 minutes, or even start the gameplay for an hour and see how it goes. This, in terms of the Premier League, it doesn't mean much this game for them, but I think just to get that confidence going, get the touch of the ball. Yes, I know you don't want injuries as well, so I think it's about playing the right players. You don't need to play everybody. Playing the right players, giving them some time, and the rest you can rest. So they're coming up against Everton. Everton, again, against big teams away from home, they've looked really good. But at home, they've had a poor record. I think they showed a lot of promise in this season, but they haven't lived up to that expectation I had once, when I saw the beginning of the season. But I still feel it was a decent season. Ancelotti has done much better, this season, compared to Everton's last season. They've made it tough for big teams as well. And I think he'll build from this. He's a very good manager, very experienced. His tactics have been really good. Defensively, he's kept them organized. And I think going into next season, if they can build from this, add a few more additions, I think they look a good team. Calvert-Lewin, I think, has had a fantastic season. James not as good with injuries and everything, but I think Sigurdsson, Calvert-Lewin, they've had a good season. With Calvert-Lewin missing a few games, that's also impacted them. So let's see how they go next season. But for this game, you know what? I'm going to go 2-1 Everton. Let's just go for that. Let's take some risks. 2-1 Everton. Sheffield versus Burnley. Not much in this game again. Sheffield relegated. Burnley, they lost the last game against Liverpool. But apart from that, they've had a decent season. I think the thing what worried them in between was, they were conceding too many goals. So probably will want to work on that going into the next season. Defensive, they pride themselves on their defense, so Sean Dyche will definitely want to work on that. Again, I think this game, Burnley are favorites. I'll go 0-2, so 2-0 to Burnley. And then West Ham versus Southampton. Southampton lost their last game, but they've looked good in the last few weeks. Danny Ings is back; he's scoring goals. Che Adams is looking good. Jay Ward-Prowse has been a set piece specialist. West Ham, they tapered off slowly towards the end of the season, but they won their last game, and I think it's been a fantastic season for them. They're eyeing for a European spot. Lingard really turned around the season. Antonio has looked good when he's fully fit. Defensively, there have been cracks, and we've seen that even when they've won like 3-2 and 2-1. They've conceded goals even when they've won, so that's something they'll want to fix. But I think apart from that, it's been an excellent season for West Ham, and they'll be part of themselves. They could have even made a Champions League spot. They dropped quite a few points in the last few games, but it is understandable. They've had some tough fixtures as well. Going into this game, I think it's going to be a close game. I'm going to go with a 2-2 draw between West Ham and Southampton. Wolves versus Man United. Wolves are big news coming in that this is going to be Nuno's last game as Wolves manager. I think it's been a very tough season for him, but he's done a really good job in my opinion. I know a lot of people are saying they're second half of the table. They lost their players, but they didn't get the results that they got last season. But I still feel they've done well. Jimenez injured. They sold Jota, they sold Doherty, and they still managed to pull off games. They beat the likes of Chelsea. They've, caused issues for other big teams as well. And I think Nuno's done whatever he can with the resources he's had. He's done it to the best of his ability. And probably he wants a break now because it is a tough job, especially when your team has lost so many big players to come back and, rejiggle that and still to win games and be relevant in the Premier League. I think it's a good job in my opinion. I think he's done a good job, but yeah, it'll be his last game. We'll miss him. Hopefully he can come back soon to the Premier League. We don't know who's going to be managing, but for now I think this will be his last game. Coming up against Man United looking at the Europa League final. News is that Harry Maguire is still not fit. He might not even play in the European Cup. But, last few games, they've tried and tested a few players. They haven't got the results. They drew to Fulham. They've lost to Liverpool. They lost to Leicester. So it's been a while since they've won in the Premier League. They want to finish on a positive note with a win. So yeah, I think they'll be up for it, but at the same time, you will see a few players being rested. I don't think the likes of Bruno and stuff will play the full game if because Ole will have that eye on the Europa League final on Wednesday. So I think there will be rotation over there, and they're going to be second. Nonetheless, the only thing with them, like City, maybe they'll want a few players just to have a taste of uh, a few minutes on the field, get into that form while approaching that final. That'll be the only thing, in my opinion. Otherwise, you will see rotation, and it doesn't matter for United even if they lose this game. Of course, they'll want to win it, but it won't matter in terms of the table. They'll still finish second. I'm gonna go um, I'll go 1-0 Man United. It'll be a close game, I think. The reverse fixture is also 1-0, so I'll go 1-0 to Manchester United. That wraps up the predictions for this game week, the final game week in the Premier League. Hope you enjoyed our coverage of this season. It was a great season. Make sure you, like I said, stay tuned for the latest footballing content. We're going to talk about the Euros as well. We'll do a lot of fun stuff there. And there's still the FPL episode, and there's still the Champions League and Europa League as well. So stay tuned for that. And thank you so much for joining us, and hope to catch you soon. Take care.